Live. Hello, everybody. It's Leah Moore, founder of Full Circle Eventi and the Ignite Your I Do Virtual Wedding Planning Summit. Welcome you back for the final event of our session. Of course, this is the live Q&A session, and it's going to actually be scheduled for 2 hours tonight. I know we did an hour on Friday night, but we have our experts here with us tonight to do a 2-hour session with us since we weren't able to do one on Saturday. I hope that you have been enjoying yourself and that you've learned a lot of information from our wonderful wedding industry innovators. If you did miss any of the pre-recorded sessions on Friday, of course those are unfortunately unavailable at this point in time. You can get them in the Ignite Your I Do swag bag. And if you would like to take advantage of the in-summit pricing, which will end on Wednesday this week at midnight, the same time that all of the recordings will be taken down, you can get it for $197. If you choose to do it after that, it'll go up the extra $100, so it'll be $297. So it's entirely up to you. If you missed it and you need to see it, or you just want it and you want to replay it back in the future, that's great too. So with us tonight, we have our wonderful DJ, Naveen Sharma. We have Joy Book Thomas is back with us tonight as our bridal advocate. Of course, she was our stress advocate the other night, and she's here to talk to a few of you who are looking forward to speaking to her again. And we have Ebony Costin, who's here as our bridal planner for the night as well. Guys, I didn't even show you, so don't worry. I will give you the opportunity to say hello and say a quick, welcome yourselves individually. I just want to get through some of the logistics before we get into our night. So, of course, as you know, tonight we'll be announcing the winner of our $2,500 in prizes for those who helped us spread the word about the Ignite Your I Do Wedding Planning Summit and the great new ideas that we have that we're bringing to everyone live and free. But let me backtrack really quick because I did mention that those recordings are coming down. The recordings from yesterday will go down tomorrow, well, actually technically tonight or tomorrow morning at midnight. So you have until 12 a.m. on 5/12 to be able to watch anything from yesterday. And if you are missing anything from today that you want to see, because I know unfortunately we had some complication with Jasmine's presentation on invitations, that will be available until midnight on 5/13. So you have until tomorrow night at midnight, essentially, to be able to watch everything live at your leisure. All of that, of course, is available in the replay selection. So if you go to fullcircleeventi.com/ignite-replay, you can see everything that is still alive for you to work with. We also have Heather Morgan-Pyle with us again, who was our wonderful expert on budgets, but tonight she is going to show us a little bit more of her creative side and talk more about decor and how you can really get the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to your wedding. So please feel free to start asking some questions and jotting them right into the chat, but I'm going to kick off with some of the other questions that we have. Oh, wait, I'm not going to kick off with any questions. I'm actually going to let you all introduce yourselves and say hello. So we are going to start on what was my far left. So Ebony, you are going to be the first one up. So Ebony, say hello. Oh, I'm you.
Hello, everyone.
There she is.
Am I me?
Yep, you're good. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Great to be here.
Awesome. Ebony, tell them where you're based and what the name of your company is.
I'm based in Southern California, and my company name is On Cloud 9 Events. So I do a lot of planning and I do designing.
Wonderful. Next up, we have Joy Book Thomas.
Hey.
Our resident Canadian. Oh, wait, there she is, I think. Yes. Oh, we lost her. Are you there, Joy? Okay, we'll move on for the second. Heather. Heather's back with us this evening. Oh, looks like Joy had to reconnect. All right, wait, can we go back to Joy? There we go. There's Joy.
Awesome. So sorry. Technical difficulties, just life how it is.
That's okay. That's what happens when we're live.
Exactly.
We call you our resident Canadian, so where are you located?
I'm actually in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and I'm the bridal advocate with Absolute Joy Occasions, and I love having fun. So I keep the joy in your wedding planning.
As so perfectly named you are. Heather, let's go over to you. Heather, where are you located? And say hello.
Hello, I'm representing the South. I'm in Rogers, Arkansas. My name is Heather Morgan Pyle. I'm the founder of Inspired Grace Weddings and the author of Slice of Pie,
which is a wonderful new addition to the wedding world. I've got to tell you guys, it's a great read. And a quick read, which was also a very important.
Yes.
Naveen, we're going to head over to you. Naveen is our token male for the evening. He is actually our resident DJ, and he's going to be talking about anything entertainment aspect. So go ahead, Naveen, say hello.
Hello, representing Michigan, the Midwest, talking about DJ, MC, lighting, and anything related to entertainment.
Wonderful. All right, so I think everyone should be able to see us live. I want to make sure that they are seeing us live because I did get a start when, which was 6 minutes ago, but they should be seeing us live. So if someone could just chat into or push into the button or into the box, just let me know that you can see us. I'm actually going to double check it here myself to make sure it's live, but I just want to make sure we are. We shouldn't be having any issues. Yeah, we're good. I can see me, so I think we should be good to go. And we're going to continue on. Love DJ, said 416. Do you do Canada? 416 asked. Naveen, apparently you're already getting questions. So, Naveen, I'm going to hand it over to you. So the first question goes to Naveen. Do you do Canada? And I guess 416, we should ask exactly where in Canada you're located, so he can actually answer that more directly, maybe. But either way, let's go ahead, Naveen. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're in Michigan. We're not too far from Toronto, not too far from Windsor. Other locations in Canada we do fly to. We have vendors all across Canada and U.S. where we can get equipment from, so we can travel with what we need to. We can fly to events, and then we can rent locally. So yeah, we travel all over the country. We've done Canada several times.
Yeah, it's very nice, obviously, being Metro Detroit based as well myself. It is nice that we have that Canadian outlet that we can just kind of chat over 45 minutes and we're there. So it's a nice little resource. So let's get into the bulk of the questions that we have today. I know I wrote down some from earlier. So I'm going to get into some of the questions that are a little bit, I guess they're a little bit more lengthy here today because I do have quite a few. Actually, I am going to ask this question to Ebony. Ebony, you're going to get the question about wedding rings and wedding bands. There was a question in regards to who is responsible for paying for those things. Is it the bride who pays for his ring, he pays for hers ring? I'm not talking about engagement. I'm just talking about the wedding bands themselves.
Oh, I need to unmute. Usually the couples that I work for, they're buying each other rings, so he'll buy her ring and she'll buy his ring. I think I read somewhere, or I don't go by tradition, so I think it's that the groom buys, well, yeah, the groom buys her ring and she will buy his ring.
And you find that usually is the case in the market that you're working with?
Yeah, most likely. It's the same. They're buying each other rings, and they're shopping together, so it's not like a surprise or anything besides the engagement ring, but they're shopping together for both of their rings at the same time.
Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up. I've got 3 chats going here, so I'm trying to catch up on everybody's chats and make sure I've got all the questions going and I can actually direct them. So I apologize if I'm a little slow tonight. There's more people asking questions and more things going. So Ebony, I also had a question that I'm going to direct towards you about the wedding dress itself. So as a planner, obviously you kind of help get the entirety of things going and making sure that everyone stays on track. What is the normal timeline for wedding planning when it comes to dress? Like, how far in advance do you really need to be thinking about these things?
I usually suggest the bride to get it anywhere from 6 to 8 months before the wedding. Usually no time before that, because brides are so inundated with all these different websites and Pinterest, and I've had brides that would pick their dress up or pick their dress a year in advance, and then they end up changing it. So I always tell them to just kind of give it 6 to 8 months, and once you pick that dress, stop looking. Don't look at any more dresses, because you'll always find something pretty, and you can only wear one. Well, you can wear a couple of dresses, but you can only really wear one wedding dress to your wedding ceremony. So once you find that dress that you love and it feels good, and I know it's going to make you cry when you get in it, and your mom's going to cry or your friends are going to cry, stop looking.
It's very true. It is. You can't only. Oh, I see Heather had something to say. Go ahead, Heather.
Shopping for the dress is something that I do as part of my full service. I call it the very important dress, the BID. But definitely want to make sure that brides remember that some of the designers take 12 to 16 weeks to get their stuff in. So I usually say 6 to 8, yes, but no less than like 4 months out. The other thing too is that when you're talking about the timeline of how you're planning, you shouldn't be hitting the point to where you know the style of your wedding, the budget that you may have, until you hit that point anyway. So it's always good not to jump, because a lot of brides will run out and get their dress first, and then they end up with the wrong kind of dress for the type of situation that they end up with.
Anybody else have anything on that one? No? Okay. So Heather, then I'm going to address the next question to you, kind of piggybacking off of that timeline of picking out your dress. Do you feel that the dress kind of can influence your decor? And if so, how?
Absolutely. I think it's both back and forth, because the dress is kind of like that one big centerpiece. You know, like your cake is the focal point in the room. Well, you're the focal point for the entire event. So I always try to get brides to understand that, you know, if you're having a really minimalist wedding and you want to have it, and I don't mean minimalist as in cheap or not designed, because that just means a different style. But if you have something that's very streamlined and clean, and you come out with this like 5-foot wide ruffly feather concoction with lots of beads on it, it's just not very coherent. So I think, though I don't match the wedding to the dress or the dress to the wedding literally, but it's very important that you understand, like, don't come out like Princess Diana if you're having like a beach wedding, you know? So it's kind of no one before the other happens.
Yeah, definitely. You have to kind of have some sort of semblance. I love when you get these really simplistic dresses in these over-the-top venues, and you're like, what happened? You can sort of wonder what happened to the bride. Did she not remember where she was or what she was doing? Or you get that elaborate one on the beach, and you're like, you can't even walk down the sand with that dress on without, you know, dragging a pound of it behind you. And the dress is already heavy enough, isn't it?
Or it's 100 degrees, and you have 15 feet of fabric.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we lost Naveen for a second, because it looked like he went to I have a picture of him. So I have a question that just came in. Dress as part of planning. What? I am not exactly sure I understand the question. So if you want to reiterate that question, we can re-ask it later. But we're going to go ahead and get Naveen up here. Since we're talking about, the wedding dress. The wedding dress is very much a part of the ceremony. So let's talk about the ceremony and the styles of music and some of those pieces of music that come into play when it comes to our ceremony. So Naveen, what are you finding right now is popular for ceremony music in general? I mean, is it more live music that's happening, or are people still working with traditional music that's already played, or, you know, how can they incorporate you into that ceremony?
People still are using the traditional music. I don't know if that's going to change for a long time. You know, the traditional stuff is always great. We see a lot of live musicians as well lately, a pianist or someone playing a violin or a harpist. But, you know, over the last 10, 15 years, it's been the similar music played during the wedding ceremony. Keep the traditions. And then the reception, obviously, is you see different unique things happening. But, you know, depending on your budget, if you can have a live musician player, it's really nice. Otherwise, the nice background music is real elegant. And more importantly, we have, you know, special microphones that we provide so that everybody can hear, you know, what the pastor is saying, and everybody can enjoy the vows and everything, and the music is not too loud so people can enjoy the ceremony.
So what are some of those traditional pieces that are being used still? What, because everyone always says, well, what are you going to use for your aisle? What are you walking down to? So can you give us some examples or some ideas about music for the brides who are watching?
Well, a lot of the stuff like Bach, Canon in the D, Here Comes the Bride, that's still popular. I have a CD that I present to my wedding brides with all the top wedding ceremony music, and then they can pick and choose which one they want. So there's a couple different options.
I've also had some brides incorporate music in a classical way that, like, recently I just had someone do some of the music that was on the Twilight Wedding on a harp, and so it sounded like it was something you'd heard 1,000 times before, but really and truly it was kind of a more modern song. So I know I'm seeing a lot of brides that want to personalize it and get away from that traditional, Pachelbel's canon, the Handel, the Jesu Man's Desire, all of that. They try to make it a little more personalized, and so they'll pick songs and have it transposed into a classical version, which I think is beautiful, because then it sounds like it's normal, but then it's like, oh wait, that's not the same song we've heard at every wedding. So I know that's something that I enjoy personally. I don't know if it's a global thing, but it should be.
No, I definitely have seen that too. I mean, Bittersweet Symphony was one that was big for a few years. They liked the string aspect of it, or translating it over to a string. And actually, I'm going to come back to you, Heather, because our Canadian guests are asking about your VID, and if it's something that Joy also provides. Can you clarify exactly why a planner would be involved in helping a bride pick out her wedding dress? Because it sounds like they're a little confused why you would be involved. It doesn't make sense for them. So can you help us out here?
Well, with me, I tend to do a little bit more than a lot of the planners, at least in my area, do. And I know a lot of planners aren't. So Joy, don't feel bad if you don't do this. But I know designers. I know dresses. I know them in and out. Like, I know Fashion Week. I watch the trends. I can actually predict what's going to come. It's just something that I've always done. So it's easy for me to sit down with a bride and kind of take that 1,000 shades of white and taffeta versus silk versus Dupioni versus chiffon, and translate it down to, I know because of your budget, and I know because of your body style and the things that you want to accentuate, or maybe that you want to hide, that I can actually take you in and find the dress. So maybe we don't spend 10 different shops trying to find the perfect dress, because I know what's going to look good on you, whereas when you walk in, you just kind of throw it all and see what sticks. The other part of it, too, is I'm the best person to go shopping for jeans with, because I'm not brutally honest, but I'll let you know, hey, not so much. We need to lower the pockets. We need to raise, all these different areas. So it's really kind of an asset that I kind of bring to the table separately for my clients. The other thing, too, is I completely forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, there was something very important, and I hear my kids screaming, so...
That's okay. I'll pick up where you left off, because I've done it for my clients as well. One, because I used to work in a bridal store, so right. I'm very familiar with the various designers who are out there and the styles. And growing up with my mom was always she wasn't officially a stylist, but she was the family stylist. So right. I had aunts and uncles and cousins and friends who would call who say, hey, I have a really big important party, I need help, can you help me? I apparently had picked up that gene because I actually was able to go shopping for one of my cousins who my mom used to shop for when she was out. So I've actually taken a bride to a store as well and helped her. After she told me, what she's looking for, and we've already designed, we're kind of getting a vein of what she wants for her wedding, helping her decide that, yes, this is going to be a good dress for her. It's not necessarily about taking away a role from somebody else, because her mom was there with us as well. And I think that may be one of the questions, because they're like, well, my friends and family are the people who are supposed to be helping me. But you also do have the person in the store who's helping you to find that dress. When you're having a wedding planner with you who's actually helping you find the dress, you're having somebody who is the wedding you know, like the dress advocate, but at the same time, at the same time, they are your advocate, not the dress. They know what's going to look good for you because they've done the dress side, but at the same time, they understand, you know, balancing everybody else's needs. And so it's kind of having that impartial party. It looks like Joy has something to say about this.
Wait for Joy, because I remembered what I was going to say.
Okay, go ahead.
The other part of it is, yes, I always have the mom, I have the friends. It's not like I take their place. But the thing is that I'm so in tune with my brides and what they maybe don't say, that I can see when they scan themselves and maybe their eyes stuck on their thigh, that I understand what to tell the consultant about what we need to pull next. Because that's something that they're just like, you know, that head goes to the side and you don't know why you don't like it. It's a really pretty dress and everyone says you look great, but you're sitting here going, but I see my pudge or my thing or whatever it is, that I can see it and say, why don't we take the neckline and bring it out a little more and then drop the, you know, and it's because I know all those little variables about it, it just makes that a little more of a smooth transition. So, okay, Joy, go.
All right. So apparently, I'm guessing that this is more more of a U.S. thing versus a Canadian thing, and I think that's where you're getting the questions, Leah. Is that correct?
It is. But you know what? It doesn't matter because it is a global thing. Because, you know, I have brides who are in India who are getting assistance from us as well. So it is more of a global thing than people would even think about. You do have those bridal advocates, but go for it, Joy.
Okay. All right. So my basic thing is I don't offer that service. So if they're asking for that kind of service, that is not my thing. That is not something that I thrive on, and I have real good knowledge, because I wouldn't want to offer some kind of service that I'm not going to be able to give it to you at, you know, amazing par, right? So yes, go to those people at the store or go to a place, you know, like Leah or Heather or something like that, and have somebody to be able to have that kind of assistance. I don't even know who in my area would be able to do that. So that's something I can think about in the future as to who could possibly do that aspect. But I think my big thing is that I love that Heather does this, because the sale at the store person is normally like a kind of person that they might be working on commission, right? So I'm guessing Heather's sort of shaking her head a little bit there, but you know, they might be working on commission. Ebony's shaking her head too. Is what if they're working on commission?
Oh, so pretty! You look so pretty.
Yes. And I've had a great shop in Hamilton, and you know, I bought my dress from her, but she, you know, at least I knew that she was honest with me, and I brought my girlfriends and I brought my mom and people that could be able to be honest and going, you know what, Joy, that is not the dress for you, right? You need to, you know, hide those curvy hips or hide this aspect that you don't want to, you know, highlight. So I'm sorry, Naveen, we're probably totally going off on a girl tangent here, but I think that, in all honesty, you should have someone is like a dress advocate and get that VID, very important dress, down perfectly.
And I see Ebony had something. She raised her hand. So, Ebony, what you got for me, girl?
I would say I offer that service too with my brides, and I like that because, one, I kind of talk to them before we even go dress shopping, so I get like the vision of their wedding. And the bride at that point is shifting through books and like, oh, I like this dress, and I like this dress. So they really haven't picked a dress to go with the theme or the feel that we've talked about for their wedding day. So that's why I also like to go. And like I said, the mother go there, the sisters, the friends, they're always there. And sometimes the bride needs an outside party because the mother may have a totally different vision than the bride, and she needs joy. She needs an advocate to help her, like, sway her mother or, you know, just kind of ease her mother into liking or letting her get her style of the dress that she wants. And
yeah,
like, again, sometimes the salespersons are working on commission, and they're like, oh, try this dress. And I'm like, she has curvy hips, so why are you giving her that straight tight dress? You know, or she's self-conscious about her arms, so why are you giving her something that's sleeveless? So I think it's good if you can offer that service because it just gives that bride that confidence.
Definitely. I'm going to wrap this one up so we can keep moving because I know Naveen's like, hello, over here. We could talk about guys fashion too, but I don't know if that's really something you get into as the DJ, so we will leave that one alone. So what I'm going to say really quick is, yes, it's the same thing as having your wedding planner for any other thing. It's the person is there as your advocate. So they are sometimes the mediator between the consultant at the bridal store and you. Sometimes they're the mediator between your mother and everybody else, because again, mom has a different opinion, mother-in-law has a different opinion. Having someone who's an outside party can really help you get what you're looking for. So having them can be really great. Who can do this? Okay, so Joy, it's your mission apparently to find somebody who can do that and let them know in that word, which should be Mississippi for me, because Mississippi is way easier to say, but I know what you're talking about. 416, I gotcha. So actually, I'm going to take this one, since we've done girly things for a while. I'm going to go back to Naveen here. Naveen, we're going to give you an opportunity to chat too. So let's talk a little bit about lighting. What kinds of things can really work well in, let's say you're having a daytime wedding. Is there anything lighting-wise that you should really be focused on, or really should you just avoid that cost? That's one of those things that you can just kind of eliminate altogether when you have a daytime wedding.
The thing with lighting is, especially with a daytime wedding, depends on if you're doing it at home, are you doing it like in your backyard, are you doing it outdoors, is it inside a banquet facility? You know, with our LED lights we use, they're very powerful, they're very bright, you know, they look good in the daytime. We do a lot of outdoor ceremonies in like a gazebo where we put lights around the gazebo and a photographer can capture all that. So with the technology changing, you know, the right DJ and lighting company can provide lighting for you during the day. It's often I would suggest brides and grooms to even request their vendor to come out and meet with them, like we go out to meet with our clients during the day and see this is how the lights are going to look during the day. We'll even plug them in. Because yes, it's possible, but you have to have the right technology.
So the LED lights seem to work better than the old standard par lights in, say, a daytime event.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're outdoors where you're limited to power, you know, the old LED or the old par cans, the screw-in ones, those sucked a lot of power. Now we're getting into battery-powered fixtures where you don't need any wires at all, because a lot of outdoor venues don't have much power, so everybody's kind of fighting for one outlet. So yeah, the LED technology definitely looks good. And one thing I just wanted to say about earlier, when the ladies were talking about the outfits, with the lights we can match the colors exactly to like what the bridesmaids have, which is what I do oftentimes at our DJ setup. We have lights there with LED. We can match it exactly to the T of what the bridesmaids are wearing. So it kind of helps us to blend in with the event as well.
Oh, that's really good to know, because yeah, there was definitely limitations in the past with the old standard gel films to be able to get what you really wanted. So it's kind of nice to have that additional aspect. So if we take it into, let's say, our evening, or actually let's go back to the ceremony, what kind of lighting can be done to really highlight a ceremony itself?
The new thing for ceremony is pin spotting. We just got into wireless pin spotting as well. Wireless battery powered is kind of the theme. That's where the future is going, so we just wanted to do it now rather than later. You see a lot of pin spotting during the ceremony. If you're having a gazebo or at the altar, or if you're on a stage, we can hang it so we can shine the bride and the groom and even the pasture. And then we can put some lights behind you. If you're doing a backdrop, for example, we can light up the backdrop for the ceremony. You know, you can do one color, you can do two colors, you can match your outfits. I mean, with LED, the possibilities are endless, and we always come out and do a site survey, and we can bring a couple of lights with us and show you some options, and you can take some pictures and go home and think about and see what's best for you.
Heather, go ahead and make your comment.
I was going to say, I love the idea of the pin spotting at the ceremony, because I always find that, like, even if I have it lit, that the facial features are kind of lost. So I love the idea of being able to pin spot them without it being like a complete spotlight, you know. So I love that.
She makes a good point. We just started the pin spotting just a couple months ago. There were companies that made them, and they were just really not even affordable for a DJ. I mean, they were just so costly, and they were so bright, and so big, huge fixtures, and especially during a ceremony, you want that elegant look. You don't want to see all that stuff in your picture. So the new ones, they weigh 1 pound. They're super tiny. I mean, but they're very bright, and you can magnet. They have magnet. You can stick them anywhere. They're very versatile. So it just gives the bride and groom that extra little light, so that people can see them. They can see their smiles when they're doing their vows, ring exchange, and it's good for other video, photo. It helps overall, so it's not too dark. Because a lot of ceremony locations, the lighting tends to be a little bit darker to set the mood, but then people complain because they can't see the bride and groom, so we just accent that with some pin spotting.
And that's awesome. I mean, really, because you can still set the mood but get those really amazing pictures and without huge amounts of flash, which obviously helps the photographer in the long run as well. Naveen, don't go away because you're getting questions over in the chat. So we have 2 questions for you regarding the LEDs. So apparently someone's not as familiar with the LEDs, so they may not have gotten a chance to watch your presentation yet. So can you explain about the LED lighting and how it's different from the regular, and how it's better than or not as good as regular powered lights? I'll let you answer that as you will. And then the second part of that is, do you use LED lights inside as well as outside?
I'll answer the second question first. There's certain LED lights that are rated to work outdoors. We can cover our lights, obviously weather permitting. Some of the fixtures we have are rated to work outdoors. We do a lot of tent events, so we can light up a tent. If it's completely outdoors, like no tent, no cover at all, you can light up certain areas. If you just stick the light in the ground, you're going to see some of it, but it's not really on anything. If you have a backdrop or you have like a pole you want to light up, or a bar stool or a table, it's easier outdoors. But yeah, there are certain rated fixtures outdoors and indoors. As far as the technology, we get asked this all the time. It's a very common question, and the easiest way I explain it is, you have your traditional light bulbs that have been on for years and years and years that they no longer make, and those were different watts, 40 watt, 60 watt, 100 watt. They were very hot, and they use a lot of power. Your electric bill was very high. Then a few years ago, they came out with CFLs, which are the funny-looking ones, the circle ones. Those obviously use 70–80% less power. In the last year, they've come out with LED bulbs. LED bulbs actually look like the traditional bulbs of years ago. They changed. They went back to that look. Those use even less power. So that's the same way it transitions into the DJ world. The traditional bulbs that you circled into the light, or that you twisted into the light, those are the par cans. You plug them in. It'd be a bright white light. They get very, very hot. The room would get hot. If it wasn't kid-friendly, if a kid touched it by accident, they could burn themselves. I mean, it was a huge liability. And then people would put pieces of gel on top of it to change the color. But you couldn't change the color at any time. You had one color, that was it. Now with the LED technology, it's all computer controlled. You can do any color you want. They don't get hot. They run all the time. They don't draw any power. You can walk up to it. You can touch it. You can put your hand on it. A bride, a groom, a kid, anybody can, they can put their hand on it. It doesn't get hot at all. So that's how the technology has changes. We do something where we do like a first look where the bride and groom come into the room before the guest open the doors, and they get that wow factor. And let's say it's a red, and the bride says, I need a little bit darker and a little bit lighter. Just with the touch of a computer, we can change it, which with the old technology, you couldn't do that. So it's just more efficient, less energy. Halls appreciate it too because we're not using a lot of their electric bill because that's expensive. So overall, it's just better to have this technology, and it doesn't cost the couples anymore. I mean, we've invested a lot into it, but it's better for us too because it enhances our show as well.
Not to mention with the battery powered ones, I'm loving, like my local lighting guys are starting to switch to that I'm no longer bound by issues of gaffing tape and like hiding the cords, and if there's only an outlet on this side of the wall, I can actually be a little more versatile in my lighting design. So I love the battery operated ones. Love them.
Oh yeah, what you said was so true because the people hate gaff tape. They hate looking at everything. We did an event recently where it was at a museum, and they had 18 pillars all around the museum, so we had to light every pillar up, but there was no outlets because it was an older museum, and they just never upgraded. So someone who did traditional lighting, there's no way they would have to run 500 feet of cord, and that totally takes away the elegance. So we were just able to put a light at every pillar, and it looked great. So yeah, I mean the battery is the future. It's just that slowly takes people to get into that.
Hey, I got a question.
Go for it, Joy.
Awesome. Okay, so there's two other things that have come up in my brain with this conversation. The first one is I used to do like little park hands, actually, and I used to do them for backlighting or using an uplight on my backdrops and such. And before I really got into the decor, they didn't have the LED lights, so I actually just recently transferred over to the LED lights, only because we hired an outside decorator for one of the events, and she didn't do the proper lighting, and what ended up happening is it actually scorched the bottom of the material. It didn't affect anything. There was no fire or anything like that, but it definitely was a huge thing. So I'd love to talk to you about all of the LED wonderful world, because I just recently bought the LED bulbs and different things like that. But what I do want to think about is sort of in my brain is being able to just pick up a battery pack and drop it wherever. And maybe Heather might have more experience with that. But like just being able to light anything without the cords, that's a huge, huge thing for us. And it's probably just not in Canada as much as the States yet. Is that something that's easily done with these battery power packs?
I have some friends that DJ in Montreal as well as Toronto and other large areas of Canada, and they've started getting into the battery lights as well. It's very easy to pick up. I mean, it's a square light, and they're not that heavy. They weigh about maybe 10 pounds max, 5 to 10 pounds. Everything is built in. You don't see the battery. It looks like a regular light. It's nothing obtrusive, and yeah, you can pick it up and put it wherever you want. You can literally turn it on. You can set the color manually if you want, using the little fixture. Instead of, if you don't want to use the computer control, each fixture has a digital display, and then you could put it. So I did a wedding a couple weeks ago where they had a large backdrop for the bride and groom, and the decorator who set up the backdrop didn't bring any lights. It was just, maybe they didn't know, or just miscommunication, no problem. So we had a few extra battery lights with us, and we just basically put them on white, so that we could highlight the back and the bride and groom, so the photographer could get some nice pictures. So it's really nice where you can just plug and play. Now we're putting them in the cocktail rooms. We're putting them. The newest thing now is under table lighting. That's what we just started doing, where every single banquet table you put a light under the table in the middle.
I was just about to bring that one up because I love that idea. And actually, people, you've seen it on Pinterest.
Yeah.
You've seen that image of like the cocktail tables outside with the light underneath them, and that's exactly what they're using. And I was just going to point that out for you. And Naveen, I also have another question since you're still on the battery. How long does that typically last? So that was the question coming out from the brides.
They last a minimum of 8 to 10 hours minimum. Some can last even longer. The ones we get, the minimum 8 to 10 hours, even more. Sometimes we'll do a ceremony, and then we will turn them off, or we'll mute them, which saves about 50% of the power, and then we can unmute them for the reception so that they last. Typically what happens is you have one color like during the ceremony, one color during the reception when the doors open, and then during the dance time they're all run on a computer control, so they automatically beat to the music. So you get that like club feel, and then at the end of the night it's just easy plug and play, and halls like it as well because it's it doesn't use any of their power, and they don't have to worry about gaff tape messing up their floors and their wax and everything.
Go ahead, Joy.
Okay, my question here is I have to ask this here. Do you bring backups? I am totally all about the planning aspect, and I would hate for something that is supposed to be really well lit and there's like a spotlight or something on it or an uplight on something, and then the battery dies. So that would be my concern as a planner without having electricity, or can it be plugged in during a time if need be? Like, how does that work?
The lights can be plugged in. They can work on power mode, or they can work on battery mode. When they are plugged in, they're charging at the same time. Probably at least 25% of the time we do plug them in, because if we're right by an outlet, we'll just plug it in. It's very, very rare. If anything, 1 out of 50 lights might might go out, or it might start to dim. My lighting designer who's with me will notice it. We can just quickly plug it in. Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I tell brides and grooms when they're shopping around, a lot of people will say, well, you have a budget of, I don't know, $500, so we'll do 30 lights at $20 each, or $600, and they'll say, okay, great, but that only lights up half the room. So we like to light the whole room up. We don't charge per light. We charge for lighting design. So we always have enough lights with us. I personally own over 100 lights, so we always bring a good amount to every event, because you never know. The most recent event, we did 40 lights in the ballroom. We did a couple in the pre-function area for the cocktails. A couple by the entrance. They had like a signing signature picture for the bride and groom, so we put a light behind there. They had a photo booth, so we put a light over there, so people knew where that area was. So it's always good to have extra equipment. Personally, we carry always extra equipment, yes. And for those brides who are probably asking about out of town, then we can we can make sure that we rent enough stuff so we have extra stuff as well.
Awesome. I'm excited about those lights, and I hope that they come to Canada more, or maybe you can connect me with some Canadian people to be able to do this, because I'm bound by those cords.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll talk more later, and we'll help you out.
Yeah, because that's a huge thing for me, is being really bound by, okay, when I'm doing my design, and I don't do a lot of design, that's probably more Heather, maybe Ebony's stuff, but I don't do a lot of design personally for my brides, but I'm more logistics, and then I have to be bound by, okay, here's the map of the room, and where can a cord go? So you and I really got to connect.
Sure, of course.
All right, so let's get back to logistics, because that's one of the things we've got going on. And we haven't heard from Ebony in a while. So Ebony, actually, this question is for you. When it comes to registering for gifts, because everyone is looking at their wedding, and you send out your invitations and you're registering for things, what kinds of typical things should they be asking for? And the second part to that question is exactly to ask for cash only.
I hate when they ask for cash only. I think that's so tacky. I had to ask because it's tacky,
and so if you address it right up front.
Yes, I just think that's the tackiest thing. I think either ask for like gift cards to your favorite store, but please don't ask for cash. I think that's just horrible. I usually tell brides, well, the couples that I work with, they kind of already live together. So they really pretty much have all their home things, but I tell them to register for stuff like they normally wouldn't think of, maybe like matching bathrobes or towels, sheets, or even a lot of my couples, they're living together, but they're renting a home, so they're looking to buy a home like shortly, 6 months or 8 months after they get married. So they have these cool websites where guests can help with the down payment, or they can help in, like, I think it's called hatchmyhouse.com, and then they can, like, a guest can go on and buy a window, or they can buy a door, or they can buy a plant for your home. But it just breaks the home down into itty-bitty pieces where they can contribute to that. I think that's just much better.
Oh my gosh, that one is absolutely new for me. I'm writing that one down, because that's a great new idea that I've not heard about. So I'm adding that one to my suggestions for brides. That's great.
I like that one. That's really cute. Or even they have where the cruise lines have where guests can contribute to your honeymoon. I think those are good trips if maybe you don't need the regular home stuff. But I always love or tell my brides, usually if they're coming together, the groom has something that he had maybe in college and needs to be thrown away. So I was like, gift cards from like Crate and Barrel or Pottery Barn or even Overstock.com are good gift certificates. I think gift certificates are good. It's kind of hard to have the big bulky gifts these days because usually the bride and groom are taking off right away, or they end up taking most of the stuff back, sadly. So I always suggest, why don't you just ask for gift cards from your favorite store, or something like, if you're more active, maybe $200 worth of movie tickets or something that you like to do, or ski tickets, something more in your activities instead of buying things for the home. But please, no cash.
I love it. I'm like, yeah, no, I think it's a much better idea, and not necessarily that you're asking for cash, because that's traditional, because there are, and actually 416 just brought it up. I was just going to say that in some cultures it is traditional to give cash. In the Korean culture, I know that it is traditional to give cash, and in fact, they actually have a special envelope that you put the money in, and you give it to
The red
as you're actually checking in. It's almost like, yeah, you give me your name and you give me your amount of money and you get your place card. So, I mean, it is different for every different culture, but then that's one of those things that's spoken, because if it's a part of your culture, you don't have to ask for it. It's a normal understanding. In fact, you asking for gifts almost seems abnormal.
Right. And
Yes,
like,
474. Thank you. Red envelope. I know. Thank you. So yeah, I think it is definitely a tacky aspect in Western culture to ask for money directly. I work with a lot of Chaldean clients as well, and they have a tendency to ask for cash because it's kind of an understanding that you are helping them pay back for their wedding. It's the only grouping of people I know who actually pay for their wedding after the wedding. So a lot of their expenses are actually paid after the event itself because of that. So yeah, cash is not necessarily tacky if it's a part of the culture and it's definitely an understood aspect, but it is definitely more on the tacky side if you're asking for it directly, if it's not an understood part of the culture. Joy, or not Joy, but Heather, you had a very strange face when I asked about cash. Did you have something to say about that?
I don't understand why people would do that. It's kind of, again, it's like saying, you know, it's my birthday, give me money. My daughter does that right now, and it just drives me nuts. Like, Grandma, just give me $100. I'll just get what I want, you know? It's that, But yeah, there's a lot of opportunities to fund your honeymoon. There's the house funding. There's all kinds of things that you can do, right? And for the couples that work, you know, that maybe live together already, it's like, well, I have a couple right now. They're already established. They already bought their home. What are you going to do? And I said, well, what do you like to do in your home? They said, we like to entertain. I was like, obviously you like to barbecue, so what about some really nice outdoor entertaining dishes? Because you probably don't have, like, the really good ones. They're like, oh, yeah, we could do all that stuff. So it's just be creative. Maybe it's funding a date night, or I mean, something that's not traditional. You know, we don't need fondue sets and toasters anymore. It's just not the thing.
Yeah, the old-fashioned china that we used to have to get as part of your wedding isn't necessarily on the top of the list of bridal aspects anymore. But yeah, definitely. So, Heather, I'm actually going to stick around with you for a second.
Before we leave,
Joy has something to say. Go ahead.
Okay. I've almost been married 6 years, and we actually put it as one of our sort of things that we asked for, or sort of put out there, is we did a registry online and actually did it as part of our cruise. So our honeymoon, we had cruise, and we had people, instead of buying gifts, they bought like a gift certificate for our cruise line, and we got like massages and, you know, breakfasts in bed and those kind of things. So I do love that, but you got to do it in a very tactful way. So, but I love that aspect, and I personally did it myself and love that. And you could basically put almost anything on those kind of websites. And strangely enough, for the brides, I hate to say this, maybe it's not the greatest for gifts, be known that, but the brides, don't tell your friends and family this, but you can actually put almost anything, and then they translate it into cash, and then you get the cash. So,
hidden way of asking for cash, so we didn't know about.
Yes, so there is a way to do it.
Does anyone a way to do it tastefully? Got it.
Yes.
So that I'm asking, also the other two. I know Ebony, you gave us Hatch.com or HatchMyHouse.com, something along that line. Look it up and see if you can find it really quick. Joy, you said you used one. Do you actually have a website that you would suggest for brides to use when it comes to something along this line for registering online?
You know what? I don't know what it is right now, but I will make sure that I get it to you so you can put it out there. Or they can always go to absolutejoy.ca/help, and and ask me, because I will find it, but it's been so long since I've been on it. It was over 6 years ago, but I know that the sites exist, so maybe Ebony has it right there. I don't know.
Anybody else have one? I was just thinking we might be able to give them those suggestions. And if you're not talking, you have the opportunity to look it up, feel free. No big deal. If we can share it, we can. If we can't, we won't. No big deal. We'll have it. We'll actually put it in the Facebook group. So if anybody is watching right now and would like that information and we aren't able to get it to you before the end of the Q&A session tonight, I will go ahead and get it posted up in the Facebook group that you can join us. And if you haven't joined us yet, feel free. It is actually back up. Down below, actually, if you're watching on the website, there's the link. It's facebook.com/ignite your IDO-bride. So it's all one word, but it's brides on the end so that we know it's for you guys. So we'll be posting it there too. I think, where were we? We just did some gifts. We talked about gifts. Oh, I was going to come back to Heather. That's who I was at. Uh-oh. Oh, it's Mom's Day, okay, guys? We all know this. I'm thankful for all of you who are joining us who are moms as well. Actually, all of our panel have children or our moms to be, whatever. All the families that we're all taking care of as well. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with us this evening and asking your questions. So I know I will come back to you, Heather. When you're back, let me know. We'll go from there.
I'm good. I'm here.
Oh, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to come back over to you when it comes to, we were talking about the VID. So let's go back to that concept of VID. Not necessarily we're speaking about the dress, but when it comes to advice for shoes and jewelry and hairdo. So the bride's appearance, in other words, what kind of advice do you usually give to your clients when you're coming to that aspect?
Well, we want it to be cohesive. So if the style of the dress is very formal, obviously everything that goes with it is going to match that as well. But I like to keep things into consideration of like what all is going to be happening throughout the day. So if you're having a garden ceremony, we need to be mindful of your shoes. Now they have those little tips that you can put over your stilettos that keep you from sinking in the grass or damaging your heels, which are great. But if you're getting married on the beach, obviously we don't want to wear that kind of shoe because those things don't help at all. The other thing to consider, like with your hair, if you're going to have a very long day, I always try to get a hairstyle that's not going to fall flat. So if your hair is like mine and it's naturally, if you can see this, straight, no matter what you do to it, it becomes straight at the end of the day. Maybe ringlets aren't your style for your wedding because you're going to end up with this like sad, soaking wet Cocker Spaniel look at the end of the day. Also, I've got a lot of brides who like to do maybe an updo or like a side swept, and I'm just a hands-on person. So maybe they want to have their hair up for their ceremony because their veil can come down, and then in between for the reception we let it down, and then it's in pretty cascading curls. Just all of those kinds of things we have to work into their logistics for the day. So if there's not time for them to switch, obviously we can't have a hairstyle that needs to be switched, because if you're going from ceremony into pictures into then you don't have time to go spend 20 minutes getting your hair fresh. So just kind of all of that goes together, and also being mindful of your budget. I do have brides who think that, and I don't blame them, I would be too, my wedding shoes don't count in my budget because I'm going to wear them again. So I'm going to get my Louis Vuittons. I'm going to get my Jimmy Choos because I'll wear them next week. I don't care, If you've got that kind of shoe budget, then you've got that kind of shoe budget, but please don't put it in my budget.
Very, very true. And it's not one of those well, actually it would become a variable expense because it could be, 3 or 4 different pairs of shoes depending on the girl herself. I know myself, I'm at least going to be looking at 2 to 3 pairs of shoes because I have to have one for the aisle and then one for dancing, because I'm probably not going to be able to dance in those stilettos that I decided I was walking down the island, which I always make as a suggestion too.
That's a key thing too. I have a lot of brides who want to wear these 4-inch heels, and if they can't kick them all night, then you have a big issue when you go from that to a flat because your dress was altered to fit those shoes. So keep that in mind, because that's a huge amount of fabric that drags the ground and picks up everyone's spilt vodka tonics, it picks up everyone's beer, and people step on it. So just remember, if you're going to go from 4 inches to a flat, don't recommend that. I would probably maybe switch to like a 2 to 3 inch wedge, and that way you've got the pressure off your toes, but you're a little more comfortable and stable. So just keep that in mind, because I'm tired of having dresses bustles rip because people step on them.
And it's almost a guaranteed, because as soon as you go down to that lower level and you're dancing, someone's going to come up and they're going to be just close enough to you to just, you know, they're going to step on your train and it's gone. The bustle's gone. And then you're complaining the whole entire night that the thing is just ripped and it's been destroyed.
I've actually
the same thing goes.
I was going to say, I've actually had to rig someone's bustle with one of those. I'm not an outdoorsy person, but it's the thing that you can like rock climb with, and it's got the little thing, and it like does this, and it tightens a. You know what I'm talking about?
Carabiner.
Yes, a carabiner.
It's a carabiner.
I've actually had to fix a bride's bustle with a carabiner because it was the only thing on property that was strong enough to hold the weight of her dress, and everyone laughed because it was perfect for her. But I mean, it's not like a safety pin will hold your bustle. That dress is heavy. So just remember that.
Yes, very much so. And when we're talking about shoes, I'm going to put it out there, ladies, that when you're talking to your bridesmaids or you're helping them pick out their shoes, because I know some of us like to help them pick out their whole wardrobe, including their shoes. Others of us let them pick whatever they want for their shoes. But tell your bridesmaids not to wear those 4, 5, 6 inch heels, because walking down the aisle looking like they need to go to the bathroom the entire time is just not attractive. They can't look graceful in heels that they can't walk in, and the average person does not walk in these 4 inch heels on an average day basis. If they do, great, go for it. But it's a look that you don't want to have, and you don't also want them to be teetering and being reliant on the guy to help them get down the aisle. So encourage your bridesmaids not to wear them, and that goes for you too. I don't encourage you to wear these super tall heels because you don't wear them on a daily basis. And when you wear them, then you start looking a little awkward as you're walking down the aisle, and this is the one day in your life that you really want to look graceful. All right, I thought somebody else would want to jump in there, but Ebony, you have a couple of them for us. Ebony, why don't you go ahead and, apparently guest for 474 also helped us out with myregistry.com, but Ebony, you have a whole list for us, so why don't you go ahead and share those?
Yes, so if you get gift cards and you want the cash, there's a couple of websites you could go to. You could go to cardcash.com, or you can go to cardpool, cardpool.com, and you can take your gift card and you can either exchange it for another gift card at a store that you like, or you can trade it in for cash. So that's like Joy said, that's a better way to get cash without asking for it. The other ones that are cute for the home, there's one that's mydownpayment.com or downpaymentdreams.com, and that allows guests to put money towards your down payment of your home, or any of the different closing fees or anything like that for your home. There's also the Honey Fund, and the other one is Hatch My House. The Hatch My House is the one where you can buy a window, or you can buy a shutter off a home, or just the different pieces of a home to bring that together for the couple. So that's something different if, like we use in the Western states, we don't ask for cash. We usually ask for websites or gift cards.
And I love those ideas. I know Joy also brought up the myregistry.com, and I am baffled at the fact that there are so many of them now, but they're great assets to our industry. So the question goes across the board for you three, the planners, and we'll get back to you, Naveen, I promise. We'll be back. We're actually going to go back to decor right after this. The question is, how do you get this information to your guests? If I had, if you guys have had the chance to watch Jasmine, which she actually unfortunately did not get to air live, so we actually have her in the replay area now, so you can see her. We were talking about the fact that you don't put that on your invitation, so how does this information get to your guest?
For me, I usually
this would be the perfect question for her.
Yeah, I usually tell my brides to let the family know, because or let your family know, your mom know, and a lot of your friends know, because they're going to talk behind your back and ask you, well, what does she want? What should I get her? So usually, if you spread the word to mom and your best friend, everyone will get the information about what you need. Another way, this is the age of technology, Facebook. People are looking at your Facebook, seeing if you're updating what you're doing with your wedding, who's going to come. You could do a Facebook page, and you could post that on there. We're registered for.
I think we lost her audio. Somehow, I think we lost her audio. Oh, are you back?
Uh-oh.
All right, I lost her audio. Maybe it was just me, and everybody else heard you. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you are back.
Okay. So usually I say word of mouth or Facebook, Twitter, and just word of mouth. I think it's good. And I don't know if people still do wedding websites. I don't think that's popular like it used to be because of social media. You have all that connection with Facebook. I think that kind of rules out wedding websites.
We do. We use them like on the invitation suites. We may have a link to the website because a lot of times we have travel accommodations, the weekend events, and all of that information as well. And then the registry is like a secondary purpose of that. A lot of the websites now too that we use actually track the RSVP because we see a lot of I don't know what the deal is, but nobody puts things back in the mail. So our wedding websites actually connect with my planning software so that they can RSVP and update my guest list as it goes. So we actually do a lot more of the website than the social media. Because if anything, on social media, you can just share information about the website. You know, like here's a link, and that way it's not like give me cash, give me presents. So, but I'm in the South, and that may be something a little different. You know, I mean, we all have different regional things that happen.
Definitely. So let's go to Canada. Canada, what you got for me?
Wedding websites, absolutely. We totally do them. I actually do them a lot. And with regards to asking for cash or asking for gifts or putting your gift registry out there aspect, what our sort of like etiquette rules aspects are is that you could put the wedding website on the invitation or put an insert in the same envelope as the invitation is going out to your friends and family, but you cannot put a gift registry insert into the wedding invitation. That is like, do not do that. You're going to be in trouble. Grandma, mom, everybody's going to be squawking about that. But what you can do is, just like Ebony said, is to have your friends and family know about it. You could put it out on social media aspect. Definitely put it onto your wedding website. I love marryme.com has a link that you can create a wedding website from them. I love using theirs. But what it also is that for the gift registry, that insert can be done on the shower invitation. Not on the actual invitation itself, but like an insert in the same envelope that the shower invitation is going out. So that can be going out, but it only goes out to the ladies. But I'm sorry, Naveen, maybe I'm wrong here, but realistically, most of the time the ladies are controlling that kind of wedding present buying anyways. So it goes out to the ladies in that kind of control aspect. I don't know about the U.S., but that's how I know it in Canada.
I agree. I was just seeing if Naveen was going to respond. That's okay. So we talked about some gifts, and all of you guys checked out Merle earlier today, and you saw some great ideas for your wedding party members, gifts that you can give them, as well as the people who are in your wedding party, as well as the people who are attending your weddings. So in regards to that, again, I'll do across the panel. And I'm not exactly sure how this one would work for you, Naveen, so we're, like I said, we'll come back to you right again in decor. But when it comes to across the board for favors and for gifts, let's start with gifts. Is it a requirement for you to give a gift to your bridal party members, to the bridesmaids and the groomsmen? And if so, is there kind of a monetary value that you put to that? Anybody who wants it.
Oh, okay. As far as gifts to the bridal party, it's not. I think it's a good idea because they're. Hopefully, you're not a bridezilla or a groomzilla, so they're putting up with you and listening to you about talking about your wedding all day. They're running to different appointments with you, maybe. They're spending a lot of money on dresses and shoes and hairstyles, and if it's a destination, then they're paying. They could be travel fees. So I think it's always a good idea to get your bridal party a little something. And I like how Marley said, those are your girls or those are your boys, so you know what they like. They don't have to be the same gift. If you know one likes to go to a day spa and one likes to go skiing or camping, then you should make that gift toward something that they like to do and toward what they like to do.
So do you put a monetary cap on them, or is there like an average fee that you should, or an average amount you should be spending on your people who are with you?
I don't think so. I think it needs to come, like this said, from the heart and what your person likes. I don't think it has to be a monetary value. I mean, do as much as your budget can afford.
Good answer. I like it. So let's go into decor, because I don't want to keep that one for too long, because we need to get back into some more stuff in regards to guests. We have a guest and DJ question. Oh, okay, that's a good one. In regards to how your DJ is interacting with your guests and really, how they're getting that party started. I know, Naveen, you had a great topic you were talking about earlier in your presentation. So really, how does that DJ get out there and work through the reception and dinner and all those things to really work for the bride on her wedding day?
That's a great question. The truth is, a lot of weddings that you may have been to, you see one person, they're behind the booth, they're making a few announcements, and then they're playing the music. There's nothing wrong with that, but we have used a two-entertainer system, a DJ and an MC, for a few years now, and it just really goes over well with our brides and grooms. You have one person who's focused on playing the music, DJing the music, not just pushing buttons. I mean, anybody can push buttons. Anybody can plug in their iPod. There's someone that's actually there with the talent and the skills to play the music, to blend it and mix the music. And then you have your MC, in my case, my partner Dave, who's out on the dance floor. He's teaching dances, and you can see from some of our YouTube videos, he'll be leading like the wobble, the cha-cha slide, the Cupid shuffle, some of the older party favorites like a Macarena or a chicken dance. They're not as popular today, but once in a while you still get requested for them. So he's out there teaching the dances and doing the introductions, hyping up the crowd, getting everybody excited, going table to table, seeing what kind of music they want, also going to check in with the bride and groom to make sure everything's okay with them, making announcements if there's a cupcake area or a photo booth, or if the photographer wants like a group shot, getting people for that. Because if it was just myself doing that, there's no way I could do all that together, DJ and MC, the music, plus the setup, the tear down, everything. It's just I think it's too much for one person. And there's a lot of DJs that do that, but I just don't think they're able to give their 100% to each aspect.
So I just had this question. I personally, and then it also came in on the chat. So I'm going to ask you, Naveen, first, obviously being the DJ and the MC, and then I'm going to ask that question to the next group, to all the way down the line, so everybody can answer this question. The question was, how many DJs at my wedding, one or two, do I have to feed them?
That's a good question. It's a funny story. I won't take too long, but we did an event a few weeks ago, and I do, Caucasian weddings, I do Indian weddings, I do all sorts of weddings. So a lot of weddings, it's a buffet. There's always extra food. We'll usually go and have some food. Maybe toward the end of the line. Obviously, we want to make sure all the guests have ate first. But then once in a while when they have a sit-down dinner, you know that can cost $50, $75, even $100 up to per person. And I always tell my brides and grooms, I'm saying, if you don't want to pay that for me and my assistant and my DJ, don't worry about it. We don't want you to, have the extra cost because we're really there to work for you. In lieu of that, what they usually do is the hall will provide what's called a vendor meal. It's a fraction of the cost, typically a sandwich, something quick. But brides and grooms, what I would suggest, and a good DJ, I do now too. It's a learning lesson, but find out what is provided at that vendor meal. We had one a few weeks ago where they provided everybody roast beef sandwiches, and my assistant didn't eat beef, so it was just funny because it was nothing we could eat. Like, we ate cookies and chips for dinner, and it wasn't a big deal. It wouldn't have been a big deal, but we were there since 10 in the morning. So what we tell brides and grooms is we're there to work for you. We're there all day. Our most important thing is to DJ and MC, but we had started at 10 in the morning with the ceremony. So obviously going from 10 in the morning till 12 at night, one tends to get hungry. So, you don't necessarily have to. We don't ask. Some DJs put it in their contract. They say you have to provide us a meal. That's personal preference. We don't ask for it, but usually it's not an issue because it's usually a buffet, or if it's a sit-down dinner or family style, we'll just sit down if there's an extra seat. We don't ask that you have to pay extra for us.
So I'm going to address the conversation that's going on in the chat as well really quick, because it's related to what we're talking about. Yes, there sometimes can be a separate cost for a vendor's meal, which is a great option, but you also do need to take into account what your vendors are eating, because as you just said, me being vegan and being offered that up, I would be eating probably the chips for the night because I'm afraid there's eggs in the cookies. So that wouldn't make it for me either. As well as, the person who's concerned about it is talking about the fact that her cost per meal is rather high, but that also includes her drink budget. So she might want to think about going back and talking to the venue and saying, hey, I need to have a vendor's meal, but it doesn't include the bar, because most of the vendors that I know are not going to drink when they're on site. I don't know if anybody else is opposite of that, if they do have them that are drinking, but that could also eliminate some of the costs for that site for your vendor itself, or might find out if they have just a vendor's meal, which would be less costly. I'm going to let everybody else kind of address this one first, but I do have a story in relation to one where the vendors are sitting when it comes to the meal time, and also in relation to actually feeding your vendors. But I'm going to let the rest of you address that one. So go ahead, Joy.
Okay. My thing with the vendor's meal, I love this, okay? I really, really, really think that you have to feed your vendors, and you have to be aware of any special meal requirements, just as Leah just said. That's one of the things that I do as a wedding planner, is making sure that all of those things are talked about. So I'm talking to each individual vendor, each individual person, making sure, do you have any kind of food allergies? Do you have this? Do you have that? And I also, Leah, have a really crazy story about where the bride put me to eat and what she was expecting me to do and what happened when she put me into the kitchen to eat and her whole entire stage fell down. Yeah, craziness. Totally insane. The bride fell off the stage when I was in the back eating. I'm like, that is never going to happen again. So I've got some good stories too. But you have to negotiate with the vendors, and that's where my main job comes as a bridal advocate, is making sure that the whole negotiation of that is not something that the bride and groom are doing themselves. That's something that I'm doing to be able to say, okay, these are the vendors. And I've had some photographers that literally were sitting there drinking for the most of the night. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I negotiated that you're not drinking. What just happened? And you're supposed to be taking pictures? Like, it was craziness. So I'll hush for a little bit, but you can come back anytime. I got stories galore on that one.
Yeah, definitely something to be pre-spoken of with your vendors, letting them know, hey, we are providing a meal for you. This is also something to let them know, hey, we are providing a meal for you, and then asking them if they have any, if you're doing this on your own, I should say, brides, if you're working with a planner, this is her responsibility. This is something that she should be able to do for you. Finding out, hey, are there any restrictions? Are there any necessities? And then also communicating with them that their cost includes regular soft drinks and water and juice, but no alcohol, because yes, they are there working for you, and you can't have a normal job and work on the job unless you're a bartender. So if you're coming to my wedding as a bartender, fantastic, I'll let you drink, but even the bartenders there, generally speaking, don't get to drink. So Heather, what do you got for me, darling?
Well, I was going to say, too, until very recently, I used to not eat at weddings, and I felt like I was getting paid to be here, and it cost so much money for you to eat, and then I realized that, like Naveen said, I've been there since 10 a.m., I won't get out till 1 a.m., I probably should have eaten something. That granola bar that I snuck in the hallway while I was running down the back end is not going to cut it for the rest of the day. And then I noticed something that was really, something that I really think brides don't understand, is that if you stick your photographer in a back room, or if you stick your planner somewhere else, and something happens that we are not there to capture, like Joy says, the stage falling down, what if the grandmother decides to give an impromptu speech, and all of a sudden your videographer's not in the room, or your photographer's not in the room? Or in the case of quality of food service, again, with this vendor meal situation, I've got a lot of brides now who are switching to the more sit-down dinner. They want to do more of that. But if I'm not getting the same food that they're getting, I don't know if the quality is coming out correctly. I don't know if it's too salty, if it's cold, or if the flow of the timing. Again, if you're in the room, I can see these things, because as a guest, I'm not a guest, but as I'm sitting in the same position, I know whether or not the servers are paying attention to the tables getting refills of their tea and water and things of that nature. So I know it sounds like, oh, why should my vendors be in the room? They don't have to have their own little, like, groupie table. We're really good at blending in when you have that one seat. Like, when there's a table of 9, you don't know who to split up. We're really good at not sitting with our partners. Like, I can sit without my assistant, and it's actually better if I don't, because she has a different view of the room. So, I mean, just, we're not here to eat your $100 food. Just know that it's good to have the vendors in the room. So I just, feed us so we don't pass out. That's all I'm saying. And I don't want to drink. I'm starting to get a lot of vendors lately that I don't understand. They go through half a bottle of scotch, and they're supposed to be the DJ. And I'm like, hey, that's not cool. Like, I don't need you getting drunk and dancing with the 14-year-olds. I'm just saying, like, it's not okay. It's happened.
Agreed. Agreed. And it is true, and I'm hearing a lot of, we're getting a lot of feedback on this. They never knew that these kinds of things happen, and yeah, these are things that you wouldn't know. This is why you have a professional team on your hands, so that they can tell you, hey, these are the things you need to be concerned about, even though you don't know that you need to be concerned about them. I am hold off on my last comment, because this sounds like this is a very good topic for everyone anyways. So, Ebony, why don't you jump in here on the vendor food issue and drink issue?
Oh, I absolutely tell my vendors they're not allowed to drink. I know, and if they don't like it, then I don't work with them. I think it's unprofessional we're not there to party, we're there to service the bride and groom and make sure that the guests are having a good time. So if you're drinking and getting drunk, how are you going to protect the guests that are drinking and getting drunk? So I absolutely tell all my vendors, you can't drink. And so as far as vendor meals, I usually take care of my vendors if the bride and groom, depending on the budget that my bride and groom has. If I know they have a smaller budget, I will make sure that my vendors are fed. So I will bring in something to make sure, if we order pizza or sandwiches, or if we get, something fast food or something quick or something from one of the restaurants, if we're doing a hotel or a banquet hall, I would make sure that the vendors are well taken care of and they get to eat. And usually I work with an assistant, so if I'm eating, then she's in the room, and if she's eating, then I'm in the room. So I always have somebody in the room watching to make sure, oh my God, Joe, I can't imagine someone falling off the stage, but I always have someone in the room looking and overseeing the crowd. And if it is possible that we can be in the room, and like Heather said, to take that single chair at the table of 9, then we do that also. But I find out a lot of the venues out here, they like to put us in separate rooms. So that's why I kind of schedule breaks between all my vendors. Usually the DJ is working with MC, so they will switch off, and then between me and my assistant, the photographer will have an assistant, or we'll try to like sneak her out in the hallway, but time it where maybe the guests are eating where she doesn't have to take pictures, or he doesn't have to take pictures, where they can get a nibble of food before having to come back in and catch those moments.
Awesome. So I'm going to come to you, Naveen, because you were talking about the wedding that you just were working, and I'm going to let you know, I'm going to let you tell your story really quick, and then I'm going to tell you my story, or tell you my couple different situations, and each of you guys can, chime in at any point in time. We can talk about this a little bit longer, because there was another question. I'm going to answer this one for everybody really quick. How many people per vendor? And that's always going to be varied on the people that you're hiring. So if you're hiring 2 photographers, you're feeding 2 photographers. If you're hiring a lighting team, you're generally looking at 2 people. So you're going to be feeding 2 people. Generally speaking, depending on the size of your wedding, you're looking at 2, a wedding planner and an assistant. The reason why we have people with us, so 2 photographers, 2 videographers, 2, DJs, 2, or a DJ and an MC, 2 wedding planners. All these people are coming in pairs because they're there as a backup or a second perspective, or so most of the time you can think of is that it really is that you have 2 people. Sometimes you have 1, but that's entirely up to you and your budget as well. So apparently, Naveen, you didn't have that story, so never mind. I'm going to go back and tell my quick story here. So, I will, sorry, 416, I understand your question. I will get back to you in just a second. When it comes to my vendors and my brides, there's a couple different things that I try to do that I really suggest, and this is the story why. It's not my personal story. It is actually a story that was told to me by another vendor in Chicago who was working with a bride who they had their vendors all sit in a hall down, like in the kitchen down the hall. So somewhere in a different room. It was not in the same room as the bride and groom. Now, Joy's story is great about something falling apart and, everything going disaster. And unfortunately, the vendors are eating the same time you are because they're working for you, and they need to be able to capture those moments for you. So they have to eat the same time. If they eat before or after, they're going to miss something. So it's very important that they're eating, relatively the same time. Heather's story again about missing that moment. Well, this was a missed moment. It was actually the bride's surprise guest who showed up, who sang them a song. Just happened to be, came in, and it was Uncle Barry who came in to sing them a song, and it was just one of those moments that could never be replicated, that could never be, talked about again. And when the photographer got back into the room after having, the few moments to eat, the bride ran up and was like, "Oh my God, did you capture that? Did you see it? Did you see it? Uncle Barry was here and he sang us a song." And it turns out that the Uncle Barry is Barry Manilow. So that was a really huge moment that was missed, and it was because the vendor couldn't be in the room. So I always suggest that you have your vendors in the room with you if you can. And there are certain moments where you can't, and there's spacing, limitations, but Heather brought up a really great point that if you are, you have one seat here, one seat there, vendors are great people to fill that and give you that extra fullness in your room. Creating a vendor table is great too, if that's what you want to do. The last thing I have to say that I usually try to do with my clients is that I actually ask that the reception site, so it's not necessarily something that the bride's aware of, but it's something that I try to make happen, is that the vendors are actually eating simultaneously with the bride and groom. Because, again, it's their job to capture moments. So as soon as the bride and groom are done, they need to be done. And what happens all too often is the vendors get left as the last table to get fed when the bride got fed first. So what ends up happening is the vendor gets 3 bites and no longer gets any more food. So even though you've paid for this meal for them to eat, they don't have the opportunity to eat the food that you paid for. And here we are back to square one with the vendor not being fed. So for me, it's a big deal to make sure that your vendors are taken care of because they are there working for you. And they may have not started their day with you until 10 a.m., but a lot of us, you know, are packing things up. As the wedding planners, we sometimes don't even get to sleep the night before because we're working on those last-minute logistics for you. So we may not have had the time to eat. And when we're running all day long, there's absolutely no time to grab even that granola bar. It's not substantial enough to get you through that 1 or 2 a.m. mark that you're going to get to. Anybody else have anything else they want to say about that one? No. Okay. Fair enough. So this is going to be a two-part question. It's going to be about decor. It's actually going to be Heather and Naveen. This is actually coming at you because one of the questions was in relation to the lighting working into it. I know both of you guys had something that you wanted to share with us in terms of lighting. So I don't know who wants to go first. Heather, do you want to take over and you wanted to talk about how the lighting works in a room? Because I don't think brides necessarily understand the depth of what it does and what it changes for your decor and how it really can work in and be effective.
Okay, I'll go first. Like Naveen's area was lighting. One thing that I always, and Naveen, you can back me up on this, is I try to tell people not to wash a room in blue. I don't know if you've seen this, Naveen, but like all the shadows will go out and all the detail kind of blurs into one blob, so I don't like that. But I can show you real quick hopefully, I don't know, maybe, I'm sorry, I have a touch screen, so if I keep reaching towards you, it's because I'm trying to figure out if we do a screen share of, well, just lovely, screen share, pick my screen, here we go. Okay, so like this is an all white room, but like if you look at what the lighting can do, because it's the change of tone, it actually can make that white room look a lot deeper and richer. So that's one of the things, like if you don't have lighting and it's just a plain room, look at all this detail that you can bring in just with the textures and things. I mean, this is white carpet, white walls, white everything. The only thing in here that's got color is this silver here. But the room is just got a lot of interest in it. So the lighting is really, really important. I also like to use like accent lights. If you see the chandeliers and all the different kinds of things in that, it's just really, really a fun way to transform a space, because I think when you're working with design, I don't know how to get you out of seeing this anymore. Screen share, stop. There you go. So when you're working with a space, a lot of times, you know, lighting may look like it's an expense, but if you look at what it can do to the space, you can make a white room or white linens look amazing by just bringing in all that extra warmth and texture with lighting. Maybe.
I have some screenshots. I have some screenshots too, and I agree with what she said. Let me just show you these real quick about the lighting. I click screen share. There we go. Here's one here. This is what we were. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
This is the under the table lighting that I was referring to, which is a new thing. We put a light under every table, and it was something that they had never seen, and so this was a magenta, like a purple. So this is something that's common that people are getting into. That's under the table lighting. Another thing that we did was, I don't know if you're seeing the mouse move here, but we actually put a light on in the center of the table, and we made that table that was the centerpiece in the middle, and then we put some accent around it. So every table centerpiece was an LED light. So you know, that's something that we did. Here's one right here. This is what the uplighting is. As you can see, they did amber lights all along the main back wall. This thing here, right here in the middle, this is a custom global monogram that I designed that we projected, and this is about 100 feet away. We're on the other side, so we projected it on the wall. And they did amber over here, and then on this area we had a few different colors, but this is how it can transform, and it's all LED and doesn't get hot, and you can see the beauty of the lights, and it even reaches the ceiling.
And those are those LED lights you were talking about, right?
Yes, those are LED lights. Here's one that we did last weekend. This was an event we did. It was a fundraiser, and they were raising money. They had like NFL gear they were selling. It was a huge fundraiser. In this room, we did 50 LED uplights. All around the room, we had 50 all around, and they were all computer controlled, so we were actually able to instantly change here you can see right here, we absolutely instantly changed the color from blues to greens to purples, just like that. Oh, that was a shot of my bride. So we're actually able to easily change the color just with a flip of a switch.
And that's definitely not something you can do with the old standard lighting, so that's awesome. And you guys have that all computer programmed as well, is what my understanding is. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep, it's all computer programmed, and like I said, it's so easy. I mean, it's so easy now with the power of the computer programming to change the color. I mean, it's so easy. And the one thing I tell brides and grooms too is that using the wireless technology, using the battery powered, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than your traditional lighting, but what's nice about lighting, and what Heather was saying too, was that, you know, it's not overly expensive, and it really adds nicely to the overall look and the decor. So people come in and say, wow, this couple spent a ton of money, when actually they didn't, but they're giving their guests that wow factor, especially during dance time when we're able to change the colors to match the beats and you get that club feel. People think, oh, this is so amazing, because they've never seen it before, and it's just something different and something unique.
Yeah, Heather, you were talking about that in your presentation, really taking that $1 million wedding and making the right aspects and adding the right elements of detail to the event. And obviously lighting could be one of those. You have something else that you have decor-wise that really can elevate an event to the next level.
Well, I was going to say, in the purple one that I showed you, we actually used that light synchronized to the music. So when the event became the dance party, it was very, it was just transformative in that tent. But I've got when he was talking about the centerpieces that are LED, this is an aerial shot of a room before it actually got dark and washed the space. But you can see that we've got these LED lamps. That's another really cool thing about lighting, that you can, it's a lampshade that has an LED in it that shoots down into the vase or centerpiece that you're using. So it really kind of makes a really different kind of look and glow there. So that was just one other thing I wanted to show you. But again, using those lights to accent, this is one of those rooms that if you look where I'm kind of drawing with my mouse right now, this was a wedding before we had the battery operated LEDs. And so we would always have these little cords wrapping around when you want to focus on these little feature points in the room. Now that my lighting people all have the battery operated ones, I can actually drop those lights anywhere, and I'm able to light this wall, which I didn't used to be able to do anymore because there's no way to get power over there. But now I can actually shoot up these beams, and I'm not limited as much. So it's just a really cool opportunity there. So
definitely. I know you were also talking about, other tricks up your sleeve that you can help with making a not $1 million budget look like $1 million budget. So do you want to share a couple of those tips?
Can you refresh my memory, because it's late on a Sunday?
No, of course I can. So we were talking about, I mean, this goes back to lighting, and some of that is the choice of flowers that you're using, and also just accenting them, how you're accenting them.
Like that wedding, the purple wedding that I showed you, they actually brought me $1 million, literally $1 million wedding. It was one of the ones that David Tutera had done on his platinum weddings, so I knew the actual cost of it all. And the way that we kind of got around that is by using all that light to bring in some of the details in the space. Like our flower arrangements, we used carnations and hydrangeas instead of doing a full floral scaping, because it was going to pick up the color. I could do everything in white if I wanted to, because then I could change the space. And so instead of having to have more costly linens and things of that nature, I could bring in that depth and detail with the changing of the lights. Because as we progressed, in that space we had a long tent, and then we went into a longer, wider tent, and then we went into another tent that was maybe a little bit shorter, so it was like one big circular walkthrough. But as we progressed through the evening, the first tent was a lighter pinky purple, and then we went into the kosher room, which was a little more of the mid-range purple, and then we went into the dinner tent, and it was more of that deep, rich plum color. So it was just a way to kind of, again, we were in an exhibit hall with concrete floors and 40-foot ceilings, and we just put tents in this space, and so we were able to create this $1 million look for a tenth of the price. So just knowing that you have that ability.
Yeah, I love that something as simple as lighting can completely alter a space, which we all know because candle lighting has been so popular for so many years. And Joy, you have been requested to get table lights to go under the tables. So that's going to take us back over to Naveen because we were talking about those table lights, and I know it can be used for more than just table lights. You can use these lights anywhere. So you have some other examples of where we can use these lighting and to really alter a space?
Yeah, this is one we did recently, which was, I was saying, the centerpiece. I just wanted to share this. Let me make sure that it works. Screenshot. Here we go. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah, so this was a wedding reception, and we did the battery-powered lights. All our lights are white housing because they blend in, which looks nice instead of the black housing. So we had them on every table to light up the branches that they did here, and instead of doing a traditional flower piece or something. So a lot of decorators are contacting us now and saying, hey, our brides want to do something different instead of a traditional centerpiece, which can be upwards of a couple $100. I said we can do some beautiful lighting, so that's an option as well to do, table lighting.
Definitely something different and very unique. So for those who are looking to get away from flowers, this is another great option too. So guys, I know it is getting really late and everyone is starting to get a little antsy about our giveaway. So I'm actually going to generate right now our winner of our $2,500 in prizes. So that includes Miss Heather's book, because it just got published. We're super excited about the fact that it is now available to all of you. And if you haven't already headed over and grabbed your copy of the book, make sure that you go and grab a copy of it on her page. You can come right over to the Partners Gift page, and you can get the link directly to her. But it's inspiredgraceweddings.com/pie, and you can get your free chapter of it. Or you can go right over and buy it on Amazon because it's actually available for all of you. Sorry.
Yeah. There's like a lag in when it becomes available and when Amazon and Barnes & Noble pick it up. So if you want to go ahead and buy it now, just go to heathermorganpyle.com/pie.
Okay, so it's available on the same page that they can get the sample on.
I don't know if it's there because that's the free chapter for your attendees, but if you would like to purchase, it's heathermorganpyle.com/pie.
That's okay, got it. I misheard it. So I heard you correctly now. I've got it. So you guys can get it in either space. I will go ahead and add that to her list as well, just in case you forget. I will add that to hers on the partners page, so you have it as well. So anyways, I just generated the name of our winner, and our winner is Samantha Simmons. Symons, I think is her name. So it could be Simone's or Simmons. She is getting Heather's book. She's also getting the, I think it's about $100 worth of wedding planning books, digital books. She's also getting a great offer, which is a 12-month trial of a professional, or not even a 12-month trial. It's going to be 12 months. It's going to take you through all of your wedding planning, but it's actually an online wedding planners resource that you can actually use for your wedding. And what I'm super, super excited to be able to announce for you guys is that we actually have a 6-month trial offer that you can actually have on the same program. For those of you who didn't manage to get the $2,500 in prizes, it's actually valued at about, I think it's, I'm trying to remember what it's valued at. I'm sorry. I think it's a $120 value for you for the 6 months. And that is going to be over. I haven't actually posted it yet because the offer just came through today. But it gives you the online offer for a digital program that will help you with all of your wedding planning. Because, again, we're trying to do things as green as possible around here. So congratulations to Samantha. Samantha, I need you to give me a shout out on one of the chats so I know that you're here. And there she is. Fantastic. So I have her on one of, I'm sorry guys, we have a couple different chats going on. So I hate that, I can't give away more. Maybe next time around we'll be able to do even more and maybe break it down into multiple prizes as well. So I want to get everybody off the call right now. Make sure that you head back over to the partners page and be able to take advantage of the 6-month offer that we have for you as well. So I'm going to give you all an opportunity to give your one last piece of advice for the night, and then we'll call it an evening. So, Ebony, would you like to start with us? Oh, you're still muted. There you are.
Okay. I guess my last piece of advice to brides, what we've been kind of telling the brides this whole time, is just remember that the wedding day is only one day, and you really have to not get so caught up in the dress and the food and the drinks and the guests, but really take the time to enjoy and know that there is a long road after the wedding day that you really need to concentrate on, that will take a lot more planning and work, and you won't have a wedding planner to help you with that. You should focus on. So just enjoy your day, and if things should go wrong, don't worry about it. It's only, don't sweat the small stuff. It's still going to be a beautiful day. You're going to be amazing. All that matters is that he's there with you, and you guys are sharing your love with family and friends and having a good time.
Awesome. Thank you. Naveen, do you have something really quick you can add in?
Yeah, I mean, with regards to DJ, MC, lighting, and all the other ladies and the other vendors, you know, don't always look at the lowest cost option. And the truth is, you do get what you pay for. Look at every option. Look at your budget. If you have to stretch it a little bit, see what's important for you. Some brides will tell us that DJ is not the most important, photography is, or food is, or wedding planner is, and that's fine. We respect that. But just do your homework. You know, meet with the vendors, meet with us as the DJ and the MC. Have us come out to the venue, talk about the lighting, and you know, just take your time and look at a couple different options. And if any of you need some song lists, you're more than welcome to go to our website and send us an email, and we can send you some complimentary song lists, dozens and dozens of them, to help you plan your events.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Naveen, and have a wonderful evening. We went from coast to coast because we're somewhere in the middle. We're actually further east than some of the other people on the list. So, Heather, we're going to come to you now.
I guess my advice to you is to remember that you can handle it. And it's going to sound like it's a lot and it's overwhelming, but you have to remember that you eat the elephant one bite at a time. So just one foot in front of the other and do what's important right now. And then the second part is to make sure that you look at your budget the way that I'm kind of showing you in our program with the variable versus fixed expenses, because a lot of people seem to feel a lot of pressure and overwhelmed because things don't fit in that traditional pie market where you have 10% of something. Using the new method, you can actually make it work. Just go in, dive in, and I promise I've explained it in a way that is not overwhelming.
I wholeheartedly agree that she has done a wonderful job in helping us out. I mean, I myself get overwhelmed with budgets, so I love the new method, and we'll be applying it with all my brides. And even those that aren't working with me directly, I will highly suggest them reading the book. And I love the fact that you guys can at least get a chapter of it. And actually, it's very, very affordable for the amount of money that you're going to save specifically just by having the book. Go and buy the book, guys. It's totally worth it for you. So the last but not least, I'm going to our resident Canadian, because she is our bridal advocate. She is the one who's going to keep you calm and cool and collected, and she's the one you're going to want to continue to stay in contact with, because she has great tips in regards to how to keep that stress level down. And I know, Joy, that I saw your joy just went out for a second because you're like, wait a minute, Ebony stole my thunder. That's what I was going to say. This is the reason why I left you for last, because I know that you have something about better up your sleeve. But I also know that what Ebony said is something that rolls right into something else that you're fantastic and you're very passionate about in regards to what comes after the wedding day.
Yes. Absolutely. You know, I think I sort of I go with my 3 must-take steps to finding joy at every stage of the wedding planning. And those 3 things is have a vision and work towards it. Okay, schedule wedding planning time versus non-wedding planning time. And don't try to do everything yourself. That's also a really, really big thing. So, you know, I have many, many things that you can be able to learn from. You can go to my Just Joy TV on YouTube, or go to our website and get those 3 tips in a video format and all the fun stuff that we got going on here. But my number 1 tip, and my number 1 tip is always going to be, is to keep joy in your wedding planning. All right? Make it fun. Keep it fun. And that's the only way that you're going to keep on keeping your relationship going on after the day, because it's not just about that day. It is totally about, you know, your lives together. So, but thank you so much, Leah. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here and doing this and hosting this. I really appreciate that, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, possible future ones that happen. And I just really want to sort of like thank you and thank you for all that you've done here.
Thank you all. You guys, you're making me cry because it's like launching a baby. It's like having a baby. It's one of those moments where you're just so excited that something has taken place and that people are learning from it and they're really enjoying what you're doing. And that's part of our passion as wedding planners. I think those who are on the chat right now that are still here, and that's part of our joy. It's seeing the baby come to life, and it comes from, you know, even working with our couples and all the wonderful weddings that we work on, because it is just a beautiful day, and we really want to make sure that everything is coming together for everybody. And when it finally happens, I know I still cry at the ceremony, at the vows, because it is such an amazing moment, and it doesn't matter how many weddings you see, because you see everything coming to life. And so my one piece of advice for you is to know what you're good at, admit what you're not, and find the right people to fill the holes. So if you're a great planner, if you're great at logistics, and you know you've got this timing down, the wedding planning aspect is great for you, but you're not so creative, where you find yourself really looking at other people's weddings and determining what your wedding is going to look like based on that, find somebody who can help you with getting creative, stepping outside the box so that you're not replicating somebody else's. If you're a super creative person but you lack structure, hire a wedding planner, someone who keeps you on goal, because I know myself, I'm a creative person, and I don't like dealing with timelines. I would much rather have somebody else do that for me and just push me along as I need to be. And if you're that kind of person as a bride, then you need to have someone who is pushing you along to make sure you're reaching each of your goals, so that you can keep your stress levels down, and then you can keep your marriage in the long run. So everybody, open up your windows. Everybody can speak and say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you again, guys, for joining us. We will see you. Please stay connected with us via Google Plus and our Facebook group, which, of course, again, is facebook.com/IgniteYourIDoBrides, so that you can find out about future events and also help us to tell other people about it, because if you enjoyed it, which I know we all really did, that you can actually help us give more of this information to great brides out there. And every time we do it, there's going to be a new mix, and I bet you there's going to be some old favorites as well. I think Joy is a staple item because she keeps getting called back. I don't know, Heather's wonderful aspects of her budget are fantastic. And then everyone, I heard a lot of great things about Ebony's presentation today, about really incorporating the guest experience and making it wonderful and making it personal to your wedding as well. So again, thank you. My name is Leah, the owner of Full Circle Eventi, which is a Detroit-based wedding design boutique, and also the founder of Ignite Your I-Do Virtual Wedding Planning Summit. Signing off for the last time. Have a great one, guys.
Bye.